Looks like we got a new friend!
Welcome to the Scratchicus Academy. We are back with Realm of the Ancients. So I'm going to run through these bits and bobs really quickly so we can jump into this game and say hello to these beautiful people here. So Discord, head over to the Discord. It's full of lovely people like you see here. We talk TTRPG, D&D, and just we talk. So head over there. If you want to get into a game, drop Scratch a DM on Twitter. We have 5 viewer games this season in lots of different systems, so definitely go check that out. YouTube, everything will be uploaded to YouTube normally the day after it's happened, so you can catch up on last week's episodes if you haven't seen this one yet. We're also full-time now, thank you to you. So if you would like to support us, please head over to our Patreon. There are also some free articles over there written by the very beautiful and very wonderful Renee, and she's just gone freelance, so please go and check her out, it's really good. We also have merch via Redbubble where you can get t-shirts, hoodies, all manner of wonderful things with that shield on there for you. And also we have some wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm. They write modules, and we're working on something super exciting for season 3, which I'm really excited and can't wait to talk more about. But also you can find their merch, which is, you can find jumpers, t-shirts, mugs the size of my head. They're awesome. We also have another sponsor, Mage Hand Press, which you will see D&D 5e Dark Matter reskin, D&D in space, which you see, I think, after this, at 10 p.m. EST with Laugh Love Lindy at the helm. Other than that, every 4 follows and every 10 retweets, we get a trinket that we can gift/curse with these lovely players here. So without further ado, let's hop round and say hello to everyone. And I am going to introduce you by your Greek names because I need practice. So first of all, let's go around and start with Marcus or Meg.
All right, so I'm Meg. I am playing Marcus, and I use she, her pronouns. Marcus uses he, him. Should I say anything else about him?
Whatever you want. You can describe him a little bit, or maybe how he's feeling after last week, almost being I believe.
He's a little shaken up, but also really intrigued by what's going on, so he's already on to the next thing.
Awesome, thank you. And now we're going to go over to Zaraxes. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And
Hello.
Also, we have a reroll for Zaraxes and Cosima already, so thank you very much.
Yay! So hello, I'm Shakespeare, or Shakes, and I'm playing Zaraxes, who is a mad follower of the cult of Dionysus, and very terrible looking and bloody, and I'm so excited to get to play this some more.
Dramatic.
It's the theatre kid in me. I just love being ridiculous, and he is very ridiculous. They are very ridiculous. So, but yeah. So.
Awesome. The other thing we learned about Zaraxes last week is that you're basically the same age as Marcus, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are about 17. It's hard to tell because they kind of wandered in the wilderness for a couple of years, but they are 17, 18, somewhere there.
Awesome. And then we're going to hop over to Hestia.
Hello. Yes, I'm Amber, or for _D&D. I play Hestia, an electrifying witch who has a brand new companion, a little kitty named Merritt, who follows her around. So I'm kind of excited to see what kind of strangers I've just invited into my home.
Yeah, that's all fine. And then we're going to hop over to Cosima.
Hello! Cosima is she-her, played by me, Charlie, who is also she-her. Cosima is my fisherwoman whose husband has been lost at sea and who is trying to get on with her life when there's screaming and strange callings upon the gods in the middle of the town square over the body of a murdered person who then vanishes from your arms as you're carrying them into someone's house. Cosima had a very interesting experience. She also carries with her a strange, I think it's like an idol, I'm not sure entirely what it is, but it's a carved piece of white in which she's seen visions and from which she's heard whispers. And I'm not sure if they are about the journey that she must take or about the journey that she's on. Could be both.
Awesome, thank you very much. So, last week, as very much happened, everyone encountered a muse. These strange sort of theatrical masked people who each either delivered a message or just made things more confusing, I think. Cosima actually just sprinted after hers and was left at the end with just this floating mask and this cloak that they were wearing. And Marcus was so sweet, innocent Marcus, who told the stranger, don't talk to strangers everyone, everything about them, and was almost kidnapped, but was rescued by an Alexi. A man called Alexi.
We love Muck Dad.
We love
Muck Dad.
And it all came to a point where Hestia was visited by a very strange, frail, blind old woman and a cat that seemed to take a liking to her and also to the map that she laid out in her home. And nothing weird happened to Jaraxes at all. So, at the moment, we find you all in Hestia's home. You have been there for 2, maybe 3 hours now. You've got this sort of like this empty mask and cloak with nothing else around you. The storm has slowly subsided outside. What are you doing in these like 2 to 3 hours as you wait?
Hestia, what's the floor of your house made of?
It's wooden, dusty, unkempt right now.
Oh, okay. Xeraxes is painting things in blood up on the floor. There was a lot of blood on their hands, and their feet are like covered in it because they were standing in a pool of it. So they're like
Xeraxes has no social skills whatsoever.
Is this any like symbols that I would recognize, or what are?
It's really whatever is passing through their weird little brains. So like they would have started by going back, like finding all of their footprints and like using their fingers to make all of the toes pointed so they kind of look like claws. And then they'd get distracted making handprints, and there'd be like sunbursts made of handprints. Very kind of toddler-esque. No real meaning to it. Occasionally there'll be something that looks like it could be writing, but it gets like covered over very quickly because they're just stream of consciousness blood daubing.
I've been meaning to redecorate. Red is a lovely color for this room. Would anyone like something to drink?
Head like snaps up, like wine.
I have
You
wine. I have wine. Lots of wine. And then
Massive grin. Just like,
you see a bunch of cups and a jar of wine fly off the shelves and land in front of each of you. And then she stops right before she like floats one over to Marcus, and she's like, "Are you old enough for wine?"
Oh, I drink wine sometimes. At
Okay.
home. Thank you.
Sorry, quick thank you to That Iron Ham for a £30 donation. Thank you.
Aw.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. As our friends drink wine.
They can choose a donation option from the list somewhere if you want to give us rerolls, trinkets, or other goodies.
Trinkets, rerolls,
Pets.
they're up. Pets. I think everyone now wants a pet. I gave Hestia a cat last week. Now everyone's like, I need a pet.
I'm pretty sure if you gave Xeraxes anything other than
You'll eat it.
like their
Yeah,
snakes,
gonna eat
they'll eat it.
Yeah. Please, no one gives Xeraxes a pet.
They're very attached to their snakes, and they occasionally eat them. It's a thing.
Oh, and a sub from Catalyst Creations. Thank you very much.
I imagine that Cosima at the moment is pacing in that entranceway, waiting for the guard, waiting for the priest. And when she sees the wine floating across the room, she just blinks. She's never seen magic. This is beyond anything. And I think she actually looks for someone to sit because she's now convinced that she has bumped her head at some point or eaten something bad, because she has to be hallucinating. Murdered bodies, people drawing in blood, floating wine goblets, just is so beyond her reality. As much as she believes in the gods, as much as she believes in the journey that she believes she has to go on, this is just too much. And this large woman just sits either on the floor or on a bench or something.
It's funny because Hestia will look at this reaction, and like the wine glass will stop just in front of you, and she's like, "You literally just saw water pour down from the heavens and a body disappear in front of you, and this wine glass is the tipping point." And she's like, "Here, you need it."
Yeah, you might want the wine.
Everyone has a tipping point, and she takes the glass and smiles a thank you as best she can and just makes the wine gone.
Yeah.
And then you see the bottle pour another one. It's good wine.
Zyraxes will pretty much just keep drinking until you stop refilling their... Seriously, it'll just keep going.
Thank you for Otherdoc and Catalyst Creations for the sub, and the reroll from Catalyst Creations goes to Charlie. So you sit in this house drinking, well, some of you drinking a lot of wine, I feel, as you see these sort of red sort of streaked patterns being created on the floor by Zyraxes. And this cat purrs in that little bit of sunlight as it starts to dull slightly. It's becoming mid-afternoon and no one has come to get you or knock at the door. There's been nothing.
Listening to the weather outside, is the storm getting worse? Is it passing?
The storm is passing. You can hear that the rain has slowed and it's calming right down.
Is it not odd that no one's come for the dead body?
It is most strange. I asked Alexi to find a guard and a priest.
It's not there anymore. I don't know. Do you think that maybe people forgot about it?
Everyone was staring at us. I can assure you no one's forgot.
People forget things all the time. The gods make people forget things. People forget things.
Sorry, that is a random re-roll, which is going to Hestia, and also a trinket to Hestia as we read
Hestia does.
Sweets. So, could you roll me a 1d100, please?
Hestia's put a spell on the random trinkets.
Yeah.
Building collection.
And it starts to get duller now. The evening, you can see like this golden light come through these small windows in Hestia's house, and the rain stops completely. The air smells slightly fresher as it leaks in through the gaps. And from outside, you hear as if the market starts up again. Things seem to be going back to normal. You can hear people selling for the last bit of the day.
Well, if you will forgive my rudeness, thank you for your hospitality, but I should go and find what's happened to Alexi and that guard. And Cosimo's gonna make her way to her feet and move towards the door.
Zyraxes will literally leap across the room and shove their massive, though spindly frame into the doorway. Not saying anything, just
plan on stopping me from leaving?
We have to stop it. We're fated. You can't just leave. Then I have to find you again, and it's hard.
Well, don't worry. I do intend on coming back, and I do intend for you to be here when I do so.
They move out of the doorway again.
And I think she'll pick up that soaked cloak into her arms. This is her tangible proof. And she'll look back to see if Marcus or Hestia have anything to say.
They're right. We need to figure this out together.
Should we go together? I don't know. That would be kind of weird if all four of us were moving through the town after that just happened. But I don't know. Maybe we should try to figure this out.
Cosima, as you scoop up this, Hestia, as you see Cosima scoop up these robes, it's like something falls out of the pocket and clanks on the floor and rolls over and just touches your feet. And you see the cat jump down and start to bat it in between its paws.
You got there, and she kind of leans down and looks at the object.
This is almost like a brass orb, a strange thing. Very smooth surface, apart from some strange, almost what looks like a language etched into its surface. Not deeply, but it's there.
I kind of lift it up and I'm like looking. Do I recognize any of the markings?
Could you roll me an intellect, please? Beat a 3.
And then how do we do that again? We roll, and then do we divide? I forget.
Divide by 3.
Okay. I'm gonna use one of my rerolls.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I got a 4.
4, yeah. You look at this, and after finding the map, and you've delved into books and maps and things like this before, and this looks like a very old language. You're not too sure exactly what it is, but it seems to be a mix of languages, not just one. Some of them you recognize from the marketplace, some of them you can see hieroglyphics. Others, you're not sure what this is.
Do I get any sense of like any magical power given my background emanating from it?
You don't sense anything actually radiating from it.
Okay.
There's nothing like within this, there's nothing around it that seems to be magical.
And she kind of manipulates it. It doesn't have any... Is it just an orb? No.
It's just an orb, but as you start to move around with it, you feel like maybe it's stuck, but it looks like maybe it twists.
I'll try giving it a little bit more firm of a twist.
It just spins. Just moves inside and out.
She kind of like... This just fell from the pocket of the cloak of the... I don't even know if that was a person, but do any of you recognize this?
Does it look like the trinket that Marcus picked up from the marketplace earlier?
Some parts of it look like it's got that feel, but it doesn't look wholly this sort of the whole is like that.
Does it look like the orb that the muse puts in my begging bowl?
No.
Xerxes kind of looks at it, loses interest, and starts a staring competition with the cat.
The cat will stare right back at you. You know that squint as it just looks at you.
And they're good. Like their eyes will start to water. They will actually start like tearing up, but they will not blink. It's kind of alarming.
Oh, this cat overly blinks. Just keep you. If anything, you feel like it's mocking you.
Well, I suppose we'll hold on to this until we can figure out more, but must be a reason they were carrying it in the pocket.
Today is full of too much strangeness. And Cosima actually reaches into that net bag that she carries and she'll pull out the carved idol item and she'll hold it out.
It's like a quartz. It looks like maybe it was carved into something once, but it's been worn down by the ocean. You're not too sure what it is, but it's kind
of like sea glass, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like sea glass, but there's bits of it where you can see through where it looks like crystal, but it's got that misted sort of effect to it. And you hold it near this this orb, and nothing seems to happen apart from Cosima, just you, that you just see that boat again, your husband's boat, as it disappears beneath a wave.
You talk of gods and of fates. What gods and fates do you serve? And there's definitely an anxiety to Cosima right now.
Sabazios Bacarius, you call him Dionysus, him, her, one of many faces.
And the fate?
We are fated. The gods have chosen us.
To what fate?
To stop it. It's coming.
No. How do you know we've been chosen? Did you see it?
I saw you.
Me?
The book. And I'm pointing to each of them in turn. Marcus, the book. Hestia, the blue. Cosima, the net. Standing, watching. I found you. I had to find you. We have to stop it.
Stop what? You speak in more riddles than my children.
Yes, I agree. We have to stop it, but how do we find it to begin with?
The traveler and the messenger. And there's like, you can almost see that it's starting to distress them that they can't say it in a straightforward way. There's like a glimmer of, I don't know how to communicate anymore. And then it's gone and they're just confused. Because to them, they're talking perfect sense and all of you don't understand them.
Talking with a sickness of the mind. And she goes towards the door, but she can't bring herself to go through it. It's just staying in the back of her head. Does Hestia have a shrine or anything in her house, like a private place of worship?
You know what?
Or that would be obvious.
No, she actually does not.
Zyraxes has like moved like slightly further away from Cosima, you know, like magnets repelling. Like they're not actively like avoiding her, but they've just now keeping a distance, and there's like a slightly mulish expression, you know, like a teenager that's really irritated with a relative. Not gonna say anything, but it's irritated. They're
Also,
practically
the size
pouting.
difference is huge between you and Cosima as well. Cosima will tower over you.
But I think Zyraxes and Cosima are probably nearly the same height.
Zyraxes is
Zyraxes
about
very tall.
6'2".
Yeah,
So Cosima has a couple of inches because she's 6'4". She's just very tall,
big as well.
broad.
Oh, Zyraxes is like, they've got, you know, the like the broad shoulders, but there's nothing to them, so it's just like, no.
Like a little triangle person.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they give this impression of being big simply because they can loom, but then like if you actually look at them, it's very obvious that they haven't eaten properly in a long while, and what little muscle there is probably just from traveling. Like it's very lean. Everything's very lean. More like a goat than a racehorse.
Seeing a little bit of this tension, Hestia looks back to the map and she goes, "Oh, then she points at the cat. Merritt was pointing something out to me," and then she points at the map. "Does this mean anything to any of you?" And she points to the area that the cat had touched before.
Marcus is actually going to go look at it and kind of lean over and peer at the map.
Okay, so Marcus, if you're going to try and look at where this is, could you roll me an intellect of 3, please?
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah. You've studied. Your dad, your father has made you study. He wants you to follow in the same path as him, so you need to know as much as possible. And this looks to be a space. There's not supposed to be anything here. This is empty ocean, but it's close to the huge continent, a huge space of land.
Yeah, Marcus is gonna kind of look at it and shake his head a little bit and then say, "There's not supposed to be anything here from what I know in my studies. It's just supposed to be the ocean, but it's very close to some kind of landmass."
on hearing the ocean, Cosima is going to be very quietly. It's one of the. It's like when large people walk really quietly, and you have no idea how they physically manage to walk so quietly. And she kind of steps across to peer down at the map on hearing about the ocean, because that is something that she knows a little about. Although perhaps she's never seen a map.
You look down and it's more you've heard tales of this land. You know there's a huge land space to the south where people trade. You yourself as a fisherwoman never went this far. This isn't like you're not an ocean crosser or a trader, but you've met a lot of sailors and other like traders who talk about this land that people trade with. So probably a lot of the time you've not been that bothered.
Do I know what they normally trade? Is it like a spice or?
It's spices, it's gold, it's all sort of manner of trinkets. And a lot of cotton.
Heard of the land beside the sea. Do a great deal of trade. Cotton and spices and things of that nature. Although I've never traveled so far.
Do you think that maybe we need to go here?
And Cosima sets that idol down and she kind of slowly moves it over to the place on the map. She's trying to just figure out what this means, why she keeps seeing the boat, why she's seeing the sea, if this is the sign that she's been waiting for.
You move this idol, this almost like quartz sea glass, as you can hear it drag across the paper. And the boat that is sailing in this, it looks like it just dives down the crystal and disappears into the map.
Can we see this too? Or is it just...
No, only Cosima sees this.
So I saw the same thing, but the boat goes under.
Yeah, you're the one who sees this boat effectively like dive down into this map. And Hestia, and probably Xeraxes, you'll notice this. The cat seems bored with having a staring competition with you. And it sort of it jumps down again, walks across the table, hops on the floor, and sort of walks towards the front door and starts just padding at the door.
Xeraxes would go and look at the map since everyone seems to be fairly interested in it. They can't, they don't actually have a massive education, so they really don't know what they're looking at. Like, the concept might have meant something to them once, but they're kind of looking at shapes. So they'll just put their hands on the map and kind of look at the snakes as if they're waiting for them to say something, just like...
Yeah, the snakes do nothing. They sort of continue to curl around your arm and hiss, but otherwise, nothing.
Yeah.
And then Hestia kind of looks curiously towards where Merritt is pawing at the door. Where are you trying to go, little one?
And it sort of looks back up at you and just holds a paw on the door.
And then she walks up, opens the door.
He sort of weaves himself out as you're opening it. And you can look out the door and you see him start trotting down the road.
I'm gonna follow him. Does anyone want to come with me?
Xeraxes will just walk to the door and kind of be like...
I'll go wherever you guys go.
And she kind of puts her cloak up to hide her hair and takes a step out of the doorway and starts following Merritt.
Xyraxes will start following Hestia.
Cosima takes up the carved item and puts it back in her bag and rolls her eyes towards the heavens and the gods. And today I shall follow the cats and the mad, because that is the path you're setting me on. And she'll also roll up the map. Not in a she wants to steal it from Hestia way, but in a she has a nasty feeling we're not going to get back here.
You roll this up, just carefully, sort of quite loosely. It's almost freshly drawn. It doesn't look too old or anything like this. So it's carried with ease, and you follow down this cobbled street. The heat is back, the heat of the day. It's the end of the day, so you can feel that slight breeze coming in from the ocean. And you see Merritt sort of trot down the center of this cobbled street, just weaving in between the people. And every now and then you can see him sort of look back, check that you're still following, and continues to weave. All the way through this, all the people in the streets, they're paying no attention to you whatsoever. Some of these people were some of the merchants you saw today, and there is no reaction from them at all. In fact, you reach that square again, and they're shouting out their bargains, their sales, their trinkets from across the ocean. There's that stall again with the fine silks, and the temple looming over in the background. And you see Merritt walk past, weave through all these people, and head towards the temple.
Xyraxes will just they're walking just a pace behind and to the left of Hestia. Xyraxes will just lean, not so they're right next to her head, but just so she can hear them, and just be like, people forget, gods don't forget.
And then she kind of pulls her cloak back, denoting that she can hear, and she's like, "It would appear you're correct."
Just keeps following.
Marcus is as much as he can see what's going on, he's still a little freaked out that he's in the middle of the marketplace, so he's still has his cloak around him like this. But
you walk past that same stall, but for some reason the man isn't there anymore. He's not there. The stall stands empty.
It's totally empty, his belongings aren't there either.
Yeah, his belongings are there. You can see someone that looks like maybe they're standing in but they don't look like they know what they're doing. They're not copying the other merchants or the fishmongers. They're not shouting to sell their wares. This person is stood there almost rather awkwardly.
Okay.
I would like to search the square for a familiar face. I'm looking for Alexi or someone who knows him, who might be able to help me find him, because this is weird. And Alexi is, to Cosima, one of these people who she's always been able to trust and has always been a solid person, so it's very strange that he has not come back as he said he would.
You sort of look over to the section which you're used to the most, where all the fish is being sold and things like that. And you see Alexi holding hands with his young son Gaius, who you do know, played with your children sometimes. And he's got a big smile on his face, and it looks like he's laughing and chatting with one of the fishmongers. He's still very broad. He's bigger than you, and that's saying something. It's a fisherman using his arms a lot. He is just a bit of a wall of a man, but he's laughing. Everything seems normal.
I would like to make my way over there to find out what's going on. I want to keep an eye, obviously, on the group, but yeah, I need to go and check in because this is strange.
Yeah, you can wander over, and the little dark-haired boy looks up first, and Gaius turns around and looks and waves at you with his free hand. He's like, Cosima! And which makes Alexi's turn. He's like, ah, there you are. Where have you been then? I thought you were fishing all day.
I have been waiting for you in the house.
Oh, did I promise dinner again? I thought you said no to that.
No, the woman's house. Do you not? There was a murder in the market a few hours ago. You were supposed to be bringing the guard and a priest.
And he pulls Gaius behind him, not away from you, but almost like to block his ears. He's like, a murder? What?
How? And she just is unable to communicate how confused she is. How could you have forgotten?
And he looks around briefly for a bit, and he sort of looks at the fishmonger he's talking to, who sort of looked at you a little bit, and he gestures for Gaius to go over. They obviously knows this person. You've recognized this man on the beach a couple of times. And Alexis walks over, takes your arm, and pulls you sort of round behind one of them. He's like, are you all right?
I wish I knew. Today has been a strange day. I was fishing this morning, and she's slowly going through in her head the day. And then...
Yeah. I came down to see you at the beach.
Yes, and then I went to the house. And then I went to the market. My house. And then...
Your house?
Yes, and then I went to the market, and there was a silk merchant.
Oh, he's a rip-off, he is. Like, as he looks over, just gestures back over the side.
And there were the children down at the beach before that, too. And then at the temple. And then I was at the beach again. And then there was the scream. How can you not remember someone being murdered? You were stood right over the body.
Where did this happen exactly?
And she turns and she points to the area. Was it on the stage or was it on the stairs of the temple?
No, it was literally. It was just. It wasn't quite on the stairs of the temple. It was in the courtyard, just
in there.
So you're not too far away from this. Right now.
She just pivots slightly and points to the ground.
So,
it was just as the storm hit.
I've been here all day. I ain't seen no murder.
I think at that point, Cosima just gives him a look of utter betrayal that he doesn't remember. Never mind, Alexi. I'll see you for dinner at some point.
Please do, because we worry about you.
I'm sorry if I frightened Gaius.
Oh God, no, he's fine. He's just like his mum, and just sort of you can see he's thinking, processing about something.
And she turns to leave, but then reaches into the bag and pulls out the item. Do you know what this is? Do you see anything in this?
Sea glass, ain't it? And he sort of reaches and he's like, that's a big old bit of sea glass. Like,
never seen a piece of sea glass that big.
Pretty.
No, look into it, Alexi.
Really pretty. As he just like looks at it up and down. You could probably sell this. I reckon if someone would buy it.
Yes, you're probably right. And she'll take it and show it back in the bag. I should go.
All right. Well, you can stop on by on your way back. Don't forget, my door's always open.
And she's gonna turn and look to see where the rest of the group are. I imagine she smells quite heavily of wine, so Alexi probably has a perfectly good reason to believe.
Yeah, you're right.
While that was happening, like as soon as Xeraxes noticed that Cosima like had stopped following them or had walked away, Xeraxes would have just stopped dead and would just be like staring after her, just waiting.
Marcus will notice this and go, "Oh, wait, we lost Cosima."
Is Merritt still trotting along?
Yeah, Merritt sort of plonked himself down as he's seeing Cosima has left, and he's plonked himself down, sort of laid down a little bit. He's found like a warm rock, and he's laying there. It's almost like he's waiting, but he's enjoying the wait.
Hestia walks up to Merritt and just kind of like scratches behind an ear, and she looks at the rest of the party. She's like, well, we gotta follow him. Is she coming back?
Zyraxis is still like staring off like to the space where they last saw Cosima. If Cosima like went behind somewhere or they can't see them, they will start making noises. Like, have you ever heard what a fox actually sounds like?
Hang on, is this a vixen or a fox?
This is the screaming noise you hear late at night. I can't replicate it, but that's pretty much the noises he's starting to make. They are distressed.
Yeah, Cosima, you will hear this, and to be honest, a lot of the marketplace will hear this. And Marcus and Hestia, you're sort of. It's like Xeraxes looks slightly hunched up and is just watching in the direction Cosima has gone.
Are you in pain?
Like the head snaps around to look at Hestia. Not yet. That would help. Pain helps. Head snaps back and they start making the noises again.
How about just yelling out Cosima?
The noises kind of like stutter. And they look so confused. It's such a lost look, like it's almost childlike, just how confused they are. And they just kind of go, I was.
Oh. And then Hestia looks right down at the cat, says, "Stay here."
And it just sits upright and looks at you.
And she like grips her cloak tighter and starts walking very quickly towards Cosima. Can I see where she is? Have I lost sight?
No, Cosima is sort of on her way back now. You see her sort of wave off Alexi.
And she's muttering to herself about cats and mad people.
Hestia approaches you very quickly. She's like, "You need to come back, or Zyraxis is just going to keep making that noise."
I'm coming.
Zyraxis actually stopped. They just look so confused. Like they honestly think that everyone should have understood what they were doing. It's just huh.
I've never
Sad
heard
face.
such sounds produced by a human mouth. Can't decide if it's a gift or a curse.
Gift from my god. My god gives me many gifts. He is very generous. And the S kind of trails off and all the snakes start hissing, so it just becomes this cacophony of
Chorus of snakes.
Yep.
A dissonant chorus by Zyraxis.
Hey, no, the snakes are in harmony, it's fine.
A chorus of sibilants.
Yes.
Sibilant snakes.
As you all sort of come back together, this cat sort of stands back up and continues to walk up into this temple.
I immediately follow.
Same.
I will also be following.
As you step into this temple, you walk over these huge mosaic floors, ones many of you have seen often. You walk past many offerings. The huge pillars reach up and up into this stone roof. Smells. You can smell almost like an incense type thing, or sort of burning herbs. Statues line the room. Some people dressed in robes, which you recognize as the priests, walk amongst these. They pray. And you see some of the people from the village making offerings to these individual statues. You see the statue of Zeus stand tall at the back of this temple. And this cat just meanders through all these people. No one pays no notice to it. And goes and sits at the feet of Zeus and looks at you.
Hestia follows, but she pulls her cloak down now and walks through the temple and stands before this statue. She says, "Had to be him, huh?"
Xyraxes will get about maybe 10 feet from where Merit has stopped, and then will just drop to their knees and start crawling forward. And there's blood everywhere now because they're like dragging it across the floor, and we'll just kind of stop next to the cat and just mutter to themselves under their breath, just like at the feet of Zeus, who is the father of their god, just like muttering, spreading blood all over like the bottom step.
This statue is huge. The statue looms over, and as if you approach it, you get this feeling of not dread. It's not dread. It's just power and dominance and like a figurehead.
In an inverse of Hestia's action, Cosima actually takes that net that's around her shoulders like a shawl and uses it to cover her head as she makes her way through the temple. Is there a statue of Poseidon within this temple?
There is a statue of Poseidon on his right-hand side, facing inwards towards you. It's almost like they're lining the room and they all stand in court towards Zeus.
Her eyes drift towards that statue and linger, but she continues to walk forwards, eventually stopping just behind Xyraxes in front of Zeus.
Marcus will kind of move around like where the floor is bloody, just kind of like watching Xyraxes do their thing and kind of like move around, but then, you know, bow respectfully in front of Zeus along with the others.
And as you arrive, you stand amongst all these statues, this stone that towers over you. And you notice a fair few amounts of the people are leaving. Their offerings are done. It is coming up to the evening. That sun streams through the pillars and sort of bathes you all in this golden light. And a priest walks forward in his robes and looks down at the cat. "Oh, hello again." And scoops up Merit. "Who have you brought for me?" And looks over at all of you.
Hestia has a very confused look on her face. "Brought for you?"
Well, people tend to follow him, yes.
Still
Is this your
prostrate,
cat?
still smearing blood everywhere.
He seems to taken quite a shine for you, and he sort of pops it down, and Merrick comes over and sits in between your feet.
And I him. What? You said he brought us to you. To
Well,
what
I
end?
assume you're here for a vision, to speak with the gods.
And then she
We're
kind
not-
of looks back at everybody. Yes?
We're not entirely sure why we're here. We think maybe the cat had something to do with some strange things that happened to us today.
Whatever happens, it is the will of the gods. You're here for a reason. All of us. She looks down at like Xyraxes. It's like, would you have been in this temple before?
Probably not. Yeah, probably not, because they don't tend to seek out temples because their god is always with them. So, and the way that their madness has taken them, they're not really driven to find temples of worship. It's more a kind of just wander in the wilderness and eat things. So they might not even recognize a statue of Dionysus if they saw one, unless they felt called to it, because it just hasn't it hasn't been part of their upbringing, really. Like, they knew of him when they were growing up, but until they were actually visited, it was just another god. So yeah, they might not even know a statue of him if they saw him. So they've never been in the temple before.
This priest looks down at you. You can see almost a smile and a nod, very accepting, and looks at you all. Would you follow me? And he turns and he walks behind the statue. And you see a small opening at the back of this temple.
Marcus walks forward.
Mm-hmm.
You step out this door and this looks to be on the edge of a cliff overlooking the water. It's almost walled in. It looks like maybe there was another temple here once before, but it's disused now. And the one that you have just walked through is the official temple. And you see steps overgrown with grass, moss, and weeds lead up onto the top of this cliff, where it looks like almost a very small temple-esque shrine sits. And this priest, slowly checking back, very much like the cat did each time, step by step, walks up to this temple.
Is this a temple to the same gods?
This looks to be more of a shrine than anything. And Marcus, in fact, probably all of you, maybe not Zeraxes, as you're used to being very involved with your own god. You know, this is like the equivalent of a Vestal Virgin, someone who would inhale sort of incense and smoke and sort of have the visions and speak with the gods. Do you follow?
Zaraxes would have followed probably last behind everyone else, and they would have crawled away from the statue of Zeus until they were out of his eye line, and then kind of got to their feet and unfolded and would just be walking after everyone else, kind of staring at the back of the priest's head.
Yeah, Marcus is probably, he might even be in front. He is on a mission and he's very curious.
Yeah, Hestia very eagerly follows.
Is Cosima following?
Yes, I think she is probably behind Hestia, and there's a sense of just following her feet in this moment. Her devotion means that she wouldn't question someone of this kind of status within the temple, and there's definite curiosity to her as she passes into a place she's never been before, looking around at the larger space that perhaps she even had no idea was here.
You step up towards these steps. And this is almost like a platform, a stone platform overlooking the sea. You look out onto this sort of glistening blue sheet of water. Zeraxes, you probably don't like this.
It's shiny and it's wet.
Yeah.
They're not happy.
And Cosima, if anything, you get a sense of calm from this scene. and sat at the center, sort of almost draped. You're not sure if this person is sort of sat upright sleeping or just hanging their head low, is a woman. A woman, her hair covering her face, in an almost clear, see-through pinkish type robe, layered over and over again, and a golden dish at the center. And the priest looks at you all, say, "You here to place an offering, to speak with the gods?"
My God speaks to me always.
Your God, yes, but all of the gods. The God of gods. The Father of the gods.
The Thunderer does not speak to me, but I must listen.
Did you say the 5 of the gods?
All Father of the gods.
Father of the gods. Would Hestia know what kind of offering would be sufficient for something like this?
You would probably all know it will be anything, as long as it's not broken or destroyed. If it's something whole and you offer it, it will be accepted.
Hestia...
Direct insult.
Hestia is wearing like kind of a pendant, and she goes to like untie it and holds it for a moment, kind of looking unsure about whether or not she wants to let go of this, and then she holds that out.
And the
Zyraxes is about to do something gross. Just a bit of warning. Because they'd, as soon as Hestia stepped up, they'd step up and would take almost like half their hand and reach into their mouth, and they will rip out a tooth and drop it into the bowl.
Well, that is whole.
And as this tooth drops, you hear it clank in the bowl. And this necklace that Hestia takes off is placed in the bowl next to it. The priest steps forward with a bunch of just some dried herbs. You probably would have seen these all sort of being sold in the marketplace. And as he does, he takes a moment and he lights it. He lights it up, and you can see it start to smoke, and the smoke sort of whips around in this air, and you see it start to change color into blues, reds, a very deep black and gray. And this woman sort of leans forward, keeping her head down. And you can you see her breathe in, and it's almost like you see that all this smoke, it starts to grow as she breathes it in. And it's almost like it starts to swirl around her as she stands. And she moves almost drunkenly. She sort of moves her arms outright, sort of almost like a dance, as she turns and she spins, and the priest takes a step back. And as she does this, her head snaps upright. And she stares at you for a moment. And she looks over at Hestia, very slowly, sort of weaving in and out. And she reaches out. She doesn't touch you or anything, but it's like she's trying to grab you, but she stops herself. And it's quite a hoarse voice. Like maybe this person hasn't had a drink for a very long time. And you hear this eerie voice reach out. Your love is not lost. Not lost. You can find it.
Where can I find him?
You can find it. It's not lost. Not lost. And then it's almost like the head snaps over to Zyraxes and pointing at you. Your god's voice is fading. It's disappearing. It's fading because they are coming. You seek out your fate, all of you, and she sort of, again, it's that weird motion as she moves with both of her arms and does a small, almost fluid spin, her body arching upright before stopping in front of Cosima, very close to Cosima. You seek your husband.
Yes.
You seek him. He took him. But the he is not the he you think he is. Foolish, your husband, but not stupid. And she sort of starts to move again. And she sees Marcus just amongst Hestia and Cosima where they stand. You are to find the home of the king's words. You must find the king's words.
What are the king's words?
You must find the king's words, the king's story. The husband was a fool. The love is not lost. And then looks back to Zyraxes. Your god is fading.
Looks like we got a new friend.
If they come, he's gone for good.
I will stop them.
And it's that moment again where she slowly sits back down. And thank you for 4 followers. I'm going to roll and see who gets a trinket. And this woman stops and almost collapses back down on the floor. Her head down. It's Hestia again. Hestia, can you roll me a 1d100? All the trinkets. 7. Oh, that's a little low. Let's have a look.
First she gets a cat, then she gets a rabbit. We'll have a whole menagerie by the time we're done.
The woman moves again, lolls to the side. Fate, fate, fate. The 4 of you are fated to stop them coming. You must travel. You must travel Poseidon's realm to the place where the dead reach for the skies and they measure by the stars. Don't let them wake. Find the king's words. Find the home of the king's stories. They say it's not real. For the gods, you must find it. And she completely drops down, collapses, and the priest catches her.
Cosima would also move forward to catch her, but obviously when the priest catches her, she steps back.
Xeraxes just kind of watches her fall completely dispassionately and then just turns around and spits a bunch of blood at the ground because there's a lot now. Tooth ripping, not fun.
Cosima takes the fish knife from her belt, which she believes is the most valuable thing she has on her right now, and she places it down in the bowl because the words she heard and what she's been told is more valuable than anything she has. So she sets down the knife.
And the priest looks at you and nods. This is a worthy gift to you if you were to travel to Poseidon's realms.
Marcus, since Marcus hasn't given anything up yet, is actually going to pull out the thing that he bought at the marketplace earlier and plunk it in there.
Again, it rests against this dagger. And it's like it starts to, you see that smoke starts to rise up again. It doesn't take over, it doesn't seem to do much else, but it swirls in this bowl.
Xeraxes has started like gnawing on his hand. Their hand. I'm so tired, I keep doing that today. Just like...
Marcus looks over at them and is like, you need to stop injuring yourselves. It's not healthy.
Pain makes things clear. Pain is a tether. Pain is grounding. Pain is worship. My health, my life is my God's, and I will give my life for my God, for he is life.
You must look after your health if you are to be strong enough to help your god. Self-injury does not help.
Hestia.
You know nothing. Like right in Cosima's face. Just like there's flecks of blood hitting your face because it's just, and it's not angry, it's just stated like it's the absolute truth. Like they've just said water is wet. It's just you know nothing of my God. My God speaks to me.
Xeraxes.
Pulls away.
And you see Hestia's approached your side. She extends her hand, kind of indicating, like, may I have your hand?
Recoil isn't a strong enough word. Like, flies back, like, feral animal reaction to...
I want to help.
Touch is not help. Touch hurts. Touch is bright and sudden and... No.
You're bleeding everywhere.
Yes?
Okay.
Just,
And the priest
backing away
stands.
further.
She needs rest. Please take your leave.
Of course.
Cosima will give a sympathetic look to Hestia, who she understands was just trying to help Xeraxes.
As you turn to leave, Hestia, this woman's hand grabs your arm. She pulls you slightly closer to her, not looking at you, hair still over her face. And she pushes something into your hand and slowly closes it.
Right.
And then
kind
she
of
comes back again.
like she looks kind of uneasy by this, but she realizes that this woman needs rest, so she kind of respectfully bows and she's like, we better leave. But as she's leaving, she kind of opens her hand and glances at what's inside.
You all start walking down these steps, and as you open your hand, you see these dice. These dice look to be made out of bone. You're not too sure what of. But they don't look like normal dice. they have those same strange, bizarre symbols on them.
The same as the
Same
orb?
as the orb.
Hmm.
There is no D20, just as a heads up.
I was wondering that.
There is no D20. Actually, no, there is, because I know where these come from. And yes, they were a real thing at the time.
Oh!
So yes, there is a D20, even though it's not the...
She just looks really perplexed. Like she's just like, these symbols again. How many dice are there?
There's about 7 or 8. Most of them are all the same sort of shape, but it's the symbols that are grabbing your eye. They look like they've been hand carved into it and painted over. Maybe with like a charcoal or something, so it's sort of wearing away. It looks like this has been topped up a few times.
Mm-hmm. Would she know what something like this is?
Probably not. To you, these look like literally gaming dice.
Okay.
They look like gaming dice that they play in the taverns and in the streets.
Okay.
And you step back into this temple. It's empty. Completely empty. With the cat by your heels.
And then seeing that, she looks down. She's like, "Oh, you're back."
And it sort of stands up on its 2 hind legs and paws at you. Almost like it's asking permission to jump up. Crawls sort of up you onto your shoulder.
Yeah, she goes, "Come on."
And quickly it does so and curls around your neck.
Ooh, cat scarf.
Like Monk with Perrette, just like.
Yeah, that's what I'm envisioning right now. That will be.
Zyraxes would have stepped up and would be once again like a step behind and a step to the left of Hestia. They're slightly tilting their head away from the cat. So,
This temple is silent. You can see it's starting to grow slightly dark outside. The sun is almost set. And you can hear outside the market is calming down.
is there a statue of Dionysus in the temple? Zyraxes wouldn't recognize it, but he might get a mystical ping.
There isn't a statue
Alright.
of it in the temple.
Then they're just kind of looking around, disinterested at most of the statues, but really avoiding looking at Zeus. Like, it's very, like, the head, like, no. It's like not looking at all.
On her way out, Cosima would probably stop before the statue of Poseidon and internally apologize for her suspicions and pray that he will forgive her and let the seas be bountiful again for the fishermen here. It's not their fault that she had the doubts and the questions that she did.
And as you sort of murmur these words inside your head, you feel warm. You're not sure if it's the last sort of glow of the evening that settles, or if it's been accepted.
And she'll follow the rest of this strange ensemble
Ragtag band.
that has become her reality right now.
And you step down out of this temple onto these steps. and you can look out over it's almost like a cliff face. This is quite a high up part of the city in the market square. So you hear the last of the seagulls coming in to roost. You see a few people in the market square. Some are coming out just for the evening, and others are last of the market place being packed up and put together.
So should we make a plan for what we're doing next? Are we going to that place?
Travel to Poseidon's realm. And then she turns to Cosima.
Cosima, as Hestia speaks and remembers, reaches into her bag and pulls out the map and pulls it out for her. I believe it has been shown to us where we must go. We have a boat, but it is not strong enough to sail the seas. But perhaps it could be traded for one that could. Some bargain made.
We should make it a
I
priority.
could probably help pitch in for a stronger boat if necessary. I could tell Father that I need to get out of town in case the merchant is still after me.
Yes, I think we should make a lot of preparations. And then she turns to Zyraxes. Are you going to be able to handle the ocean?
No. But we must go.
All right, well, let's start putting our affairs in order.
Zyraxes just stays next to Hestia because they don't have any affairs.
You know, in fact, probably Marcus and Cosimo will know more than anyone, that along the shore, sort of half a day's walk, you could reach there by morning if you chose to do so. There is Port Accius, which is a much larger port. This is where all the merchants come in and all the trade tends to happen of the silks, of the spices, and things as such. This is a small fishing village. You know, you'd probably be able to find some sort of boat, some sort of ship, even if it was much smaller from there.
Perhaps we could all meet again at dawn at Hestia's home. I could row us down to the port, or we could walk. There has been a storm today. We must let the air settle and clear and take time in our preparations.
We'll need to gather some other supplies, food.
Zyraxes kind of looks at his snakes and looks at the cat and looks back to the snakes.
Not that kind of food.
The cat will stand up and you will feel this heckles up and this hiss sort of erupt from it. So you know that sort of growling meow sort of mew sort of rumbling in its chest as it looks at these snakes. And if they start to move, it will swipe at them.
That sort of
Zyraxes will just kind of move their arms slightly further away, not like recoiling, but just kind of like, and then look Merritt right in the eye and just go.
And as that happens, Merritt sort of settles down on Hestia's shoulders once again, sort of draped around either one, and just watches Zyraxes.
Zyraxes kind of just watches back and then kind of leans in and goes, "You taste awful."
And this cat starts to purr.
He just pulls back again.
So, what do you do to prep effectively before you meet at Hestia's at dawn? What do you do?
Zyraxes will literally just follow Hestia home and sleep outside her house in the street. Under his skins, just
Hestia would have gone to, like, were there any shops that would have still been open?
Yeah, there'd be marketplaces, like the more local ones, so the more basic, the bread and the fish would tend to be the things that stayed the latest because they need to go today. They don't want anything left over.
And she's perusing a couple shops, grabbing food that, like, as she's looking over some of the stalls, she sees like the various fish and other things, and she's kind of like pausing in her mind, not sure what Zyraxes would even eat. But then she's like, okay. And then she just grabs like a little bit of everything. But then also she's not only grabbing food, you can see her grabbing herbs and things that maybe a healer would be grabbing. She just kind of intuitively reaches for them to make sure that they have medical supplies as well.
Yeah, you can find a lot of, again, the dried herbs. The reason they're sort of seen as an offering is because it is effectively health. You can find a lot of the wild herbs. These look like someone who's gone out and gathered these probably the last few days and dried them out in the sun. And you can gather up as much, some fish, some meat, and some of this, some of these herbs, and some bread, and bits and bobs like that.
Okay.
And then do you just return home?
Yes, I think she would at this point.
You return home, sort of, Merrick gives Zyraxes, who is snoring outside your front door, a sort of an odd look before you close the door.
I close the door and I see like all the blood pictures that are drawn along there, and she just kind of shakes her head and like uses some magic to kind of pull it up off the floor. And then she, like, sitting there with it kind of in the air, she's like, I don't know what to do with all of this. So it just kind of like collects into a bowl, and she sets it on the shelf.
Yeah, you sort of, as you do it, you sort of feel the ground beneath you almost like ache a little bit as you draw this off the ground, and it hovers just between your hands, and you're like, and just sort of effectively move it without touching it. And settle down for the evening.
Well, I guess if you don't have a fridge to hang it on.
Yeah. And Merritt curls up by you, and it never seems to be too far from you. How about Cosima? What does Cosima do?
Cosima has a
today?
evening. Cosima begins the evening by walking up the hill to where her cousin lives. Her cousin is much richer than she is, and as such has a house higher up in the town. And that's where her children currently are. And she brings with her some money from that day's fishing trip, and basically pays over what she would normally for their care. And does what she can to say her goodbye without saying goodbye. But the last word she says is, "Don't worry, I'll bring your father back." And
They
then
seem confused, but not unhappy by this.
And then she makes her way down the hill to Alexi's house and has dinner with him, his wife, and Gaius. And tries to explain in private what has happened, although she doubts Alexi would believe it and assumes she had simply lost her mind.
He will sit there, and when Gaius is effectively being put to bed, by Alexi's wife. He sort of sits across the table from you. So you're leaving?
For a while, at least.
You're coming back, right?
Of course. This is home. It's the place we all return to.
Alive, please. And he sort of settles back and pours like you another sort of wine. If you're going over to Port Achios, I know a man with a ship. He's a bit of a pain in the arse, but he'll get you there. I warn you now, his payment will be wanted in labour, not in gold. Mind you, it depends how much you got. I just don't normally have the gold. But and he starts to question himself again briefly. He's like, look for Obion. You'll hear him before you see him.
Thank you, Alexi.
No problem. Bit like me, bit bigger.
One more favor.
Name it.
Please mind the house while I'm gone. I don't intend to return with Thomas, only to present him with nothing.
You want me to clean? I'll try.
It's clean. It just empty spaces tend to attract people. And her head is just Cyraxes invading her home.
I will check it every day, morning and night.
You may help yourself to the nets. They're all mended.
And he just nods.
And she'll stand, kind of place a hand on his shoulder in thanks, and take her leave to get out of the house.
Pats your hand as you go. As you open this door into a much cooler evening, it's dark outside. The stars absolutely litter the sky, and you can hear those waves sort of lapping up against the shore as I'm assuming you walk down to...
Yeah, she walks down to her home, which is pretty much beachfront in its own little way. And she's mostly dried out, but she's still damp, and she can still smell the salt on her own clothes. And I think she finds some peace and reassurance in it. As uncomfortable and as chafing as damp clothing is, there's the fact that she was taken to the sea by the stranger, and that's the place that she's going to, and it's a place that she knows. And it was almost not a baptism, because that's not an ancient Greek thing, but it's a welcoming almost, I guess, by Poseidon, or at least that's how she interprets it. And then she spends time in front of her shrine sharpening up an old fishing knife, since she no longer has hers. And that's basically what she does for the night until it's too dark to work anymore, and she'll go and sleep.
And how about Marcus? I'm assuming you wander home?
Yeah, Marcus is definitely kind of sneaking home. Like, he's not too worried because everyone forgot, but he still has that bit of caution there. He kind of like moves towards his house. Once he gets home, he would probably either try to find his father, or if his father is busy, whatever other guardian of the home, to like let them know what exactly he was kind of like coming up with earlier, like that story of, hey, today someone in the marketplace found out who I was, and a merchant tried to kidnap me, and I kind of need to...
You walk into this villa effectively where you were used to being. Would Marcus normally have stayed out late, or do you normally come back before it's dark?
It's not completely out of character for him to stay out late, but usually it's because he's out late, like studying something or lost track of time. For him to come home, drop off his stuff, and then leave again is a little unusual.
Yeah. You are greeted as you walk in by a servant who just nods and smiles to you, and offers to take anything from you.
and Marcus will hand the cloak that he just kind of grabbed on his way back out earlier.
And it sort of nods. It's quite quiet in your household. You're back quite late. And it's very, very quiet. You know, your mother would have probably gone to bed by now, but you can see a candle lit in a room where your father normally sits.
Marcus is going to kind of sheepishly make his way into that room.
He doesn't turn to you, but you see him hunched over. So, where have you been?
Funny story about that, actually.
It's not funny. Where have you been?
I may have gotten into a bit of trouble in town. Not any kind of, like, I didn't do anything bad, but someone kind of figured out that I was your son and tried to kidnap me, but I got away.
And he just you feel it, like you almost feel it as these hands slam down, and he pushes himself up and looks at you. So you went wandering on your own. You told someone who you were, and they grabbed you. Is that what you're telling me?
They didn't grab me. Well,
you know how important my position is here.
Yes.
You are to take my place after I'm gone. You need to wield it strongly. Otherwise, you become a pushover. You get kidnapped. And he sort of widens his eyes. He's not happy about this. This doesn't seem to be a worry. This is more